today, the perfect MBA CV. My name is Nelly, and I'll be the moderator on behalf of GMAT team. Our speaker today is Nafeez, who has over 12 years of experience as a GMAT and GRE instructor. At sherpaprep, he leads an MBA admission team helping thousands of students over the years. Today, he will share practical and useful tips that will help you improve your CV or resume. Before starting, I just want to let you know that you can ask questions anytime during the webinar using the Q&A box, and you'll take time to answer at the end of the session. All questions are welcome, so don't hesitate. I think we are all set now, so I'm giving the floor to you.
Thank you, Nelly. I appreciate the introduction. Hello, everybody, wherever you are. I know some of you are in the United States, some of you are in Europe, maybe you're in Asia. So wherever you are, nice to meet you. In this conversation today, I want to give you some of the tips I give my students and some of the people in our admissions program to help you perhaps get that extra little bit to help you get into school. The MBA CV or resume is fundamentally a different document than the one you use to get a job. And I want to make sure we understand the differentiation between the two items, and also really level up your MBA CV or resume, because it is one of the few tools you have to differentiate yourself among people who at face value are homogenous, you know, similar age groups, similar education, similar grades, similar jobs, you know, in terms of successes. You know, how much differentiation could one do when they're 24, 25, 26, like, or even up to 28? Like, we don't have much job experience. The standard deviation is not that large, not nearly as large as it would be versus you and your high school class 20 years from now. So we want to make sure that we use this little one-page document to the best we can. So with that said, let's get going. A little background about me. I've been doing this for a long time, since 2006. Thousands and thousands of hours of teaching, all kinds of test prep, GMAT and GRE primarily, and also admissions consulting. I have literally helped thousands of people. I've helped get them into schools, and maybe I'll help a little bit in them getting better outcomes than they would have otherwise. Fundamentally, I do this because I genuinely feel, and we at sherpaprep feel, that our work can do a little bit in changing someone's life trajectory and help them overcome imposter syndrome, or get a better job, or feel like they're making the most out of their time. So I know this is a stressful period, test prep, admissions, a lot of unknowns, very competitive. And we do our best to try to frame the situation as best as possible and give you tactical advice to get better outcomes. My background is fairly diverse in terms of education and in what I've did before, in what seems like a lifetime before I started doing test prep. I studied business. I have master's degrees in finance and real estate, management, mathematics, from a host of different schools. But what really makes me perhaps knowledgeable about this is that I've seen lots of stories, and I've helped people in lots of different ways, all sorts of people at different schools tell their best version of themselves, present their best version of their story. You definitely want to make sure that your document at the end of this is you. Like, anyone who looks at it, it's like, yeah, that is me, and no two ways about it. You don't want to conform to someone else. You want to try to be your best self, tell your story. And because of my professional history, I've worked in finance and in real estate and in corporate acquisitions. Outside of test prep, I've done some interesting things. So I have a little bit of an understanding of a lot of different industry verticals. So that could help us frame your story. So, and beyond that, our company is really mission driven. I know most of you don't know us, but we do fundamentally believe in helping people and helping the planet. So we are very proud to be a 1% for the Planet member, where we donate a percentage of our revenue to people and climate causes. So it's really, we fundamentally want to differentiate your story, and we in turn want to be different from other people and other companies. So that's just how we roll. And it's imbued in all of our services and all of our thinking, frankly. All of our instructors feel this way. Back to the deck. So first things first, I opened with saying that the MBA resume is fundamentally different from the industry resume. And the reason why is because the audiences are different. Who's reading your MBA resume? It's an admissions person, someone whose job is to look at thousands of applications and then pick hundreds of people to fit into their ecosystem, to be an active, engaged member of the cohort. What is an HR hiring manager looking for? Certainly there's some cultural fit stuff. I won't deny that companies have culture and they try to do their best to figure out culture subjectively, imperfectly, and all that. But more so, they have KPIs, they have key performance indicators. They need to make sure that if they hire you on Monday, that you will start paying dividends, that you will start providing value back to the company. They have a specific agenda in mind. Some managing director, some director, some VP said, hey, we need a person to do this job. Obviously, there's going to be some training involved, but we'd like to do as little as possible of that. You know, they want to make sure that you can hit the ground running and start providing value, because you are taking salary from them and benefits. So it is a trade, and they want to make sure that they have some confidence that by choosing you, that they will be okay on this trade immediately. The MBA admissions person isn't trying to hire you, and they don't really care about your Python skills or your SQL or any sort of the acronyms you might use to get that job in your industry. Those acronyms and skills that might be incredibly relevant for a job, they're not relevant for an MBA. You're not going to be asked to do that kind of programming, not in class anyway. They are honestly trying to figure out, through very imperfect means, your personality and what kind of person are you. So we want to make sure this document reflects that kind of stuff as much as possible. Human resources is asking, are you ready for this job? How closely do you match our needs? Can you provide value to our team tomorrow? MBA admissions is asking personality, culture fit questions. Also, whenever we can, in this one-page document, the CV or the resume, we want to show that you have signs of emotional intelligence. That is of immense value, not just to HR, but definitely to MBA admissions people, because they are trying to figure out what your role will be in a small ecosystem. So when they create little clusters of students, they actually do think, in my conversations with them, they do think like, well, this person is needed in this room because she's a devil's advocate. And you know what? Every room needs one. The whole group gets better because of that. And this person, John, he's not a devil's advocate, but he is definitely a glue type person. He's the person that proactively addresses the needs of the group, does so quietly, does so without fanfare. He is absolutely fundamental and valuable to this team, and everyone loves him because he does things without being asked. And you need people like that on the team too. And there's obviously other people who maybe are more peacocky, a little bit more flamboyant, a little bit more look at me, because you need some flash too. Ultimately, these clusters and cohorts need to analyze cases, make pitches, make presentations. So you want a bit of every kind of person. And none of this can be found out through your academic profile, your GPA. Your job doesn't really tell you this kind of stuff. So we want to make sure our resume tells the admissions person who you are the best we can. Okay. Also, we want to make sure that we differentiate you. You know, again, as I said, a 25-year-old with a good GPA from a good college, good university, with a good job. That's basically every applicant. That doesn't make you special here. Almost every application is pretty decent from that respect. So how do they pick one person over another? They choose the person who has the most cohesive application, who's the most self-aware. They choose the person who knows him or herself the best and has a plan of attack when they get to school. They know exactly what they want out of it. And self-awareness is part of it. If you don't know what your faults are, it's very easy to hit reject on your application. They don't want perfect people where people think they're perfect. They want people who are there to make themselves better. And while they're there, can operate and function with others in a good way. So let's talk about some suggestions and tips. Here's a little slide that I think encapsulates what we're going to talk about. I'm going to show you some specific examples as well. So let's start with general ideas. We do want to be a storyteller in your resume. This is focused for the MBA people. Certainly in your industry resume, as you look for jobs, because there's no reason you shouldn't, you should also tell stories there too. But certainly for an MBA CV or resume, you want to tell stories. And what you want to do is think about your current position and your previous positions, and try to remove as much description as possible. Remove as much job description as possible. So what you want to do is tell them how you did something, why that was special, and emote qualities that cannot be found in a job description. So like a job description is something like coordinated this, managed this, developed this, liaise with this. Those are terrible nouns, terrible verbs for resume or CV. What you want to do is really jack up the interest level on the verbs you use, like with a mandate or championed, mentored. You want to do much stronger verbs, much more captivating verbs, but you also want to tell stories that relate to those verbs. You don't want to give the description of what you do. You want to say how you did it. So I like to think about this as what is for your last job, however long it was, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it was, what were your highlights? Let's start there. And, you know, if you need to have a description of your job, if people don't know what it is, okay, fine. Give a bullet for your description. This is what this job does at this company. That's fine. But the rest of it really should be highlights. What were the things that got you promoted? What were the things that get you bonuses? What were the things that get you pats on the back? It should be highlights and not descriptions, for sure. We want to make sure your personality shines. And I also should say generally, surprisingly enough, maybe, or paradoxically, I guess, the admissions folks do not like fancy resumes. They don't like the creative resumes, the ones with pictures or colors or different fonts. They don't like them. And that's pretty much across the board. I've not found any admissions person. They like the one pagers. They like very clean formatting, very easy to read, black and white structure. So anything that would help you get a job in any sort of creative position, that is not the resume or CV for the MBA. It is very much perfunctory. And I'll show you some examples now. So Let's go here. So given this audience is in the United States and Europe, mostly, I assume, I looked up some of the specific schools you might be interested in. Here's the site, Business School at Oxford. And here is their resume template. You can Google this and find it. It's all free. And you can see, here's their template. Very British template here. Education at the top. Notice there is no address at the top. You don't need to do that. There is no summary section. Don't do that either. That's for both MBA and for industry. Summaries are outdated. Don't do that. Just put your name there, put your email there, a phone number maybe, and that's it. You don't have to put your address down. No one's going to mail you anything. The MBA people will not mail you anything. Also, I will say this. I want to make sure I make this comment. This resume is the highlights of your history. Okay, it's not everything. Even if it's a CV, which is definitely the curriculum vitae connotes, tell us more of everything. But you can see right here, this is the Oxford CV template, and you'll see here's the LBS CV template. You see it's not different at all. Despite the naming of the CV, this is very much like a US one-page resume, frankly. So they're conforming. The UK schools and the American schools are conforming to the one-page model. Oxford even said in their website they like the one-page model. I found that just here. In the FAQs that they have on their website. Anyway, let's not go there. Let's go back to the content here. What you want is simplicity. Now, I will say this. This is something that you can think about, and you don't have to conform. Certainly, the UK models have education and qualifications at the top. I would say this. If your education and qualifications is, in your view, less impressive than your professional history, put your professional history then above it. The most important stuff should go to the top. English readers read top to bottom and left to right. So the best stuff, the most important stuff should go to the top. We want to make sure we take advantage of the attention span of the reader as best we can. So if your professional history is far more impressive than your undergrad or your education, your GPA was mediocre or whatever, your institution, isn't the most prestigious, but your job is, start with your job. So I would do work experience on top, education down below. The US schools are certainly more accommodating of this. I would say the UK ones too. My students from the US who apply to UK schools don't always conform exactly to this template, depending on what's the best stuff they have. Okay, let me get to some questions. I see some chats here. As far as like our services, we can talk about that at the end, but you can look up all our services. They're all on sherpaprep.com, and you can look at MBA admissions there, and our services are flat charge and super competitive, actually, price much less than everyone else, honestly. Might have missed this. What's the smallest font you recommend? That's a great question. You don't want to make it hard to read. The admissions people really dislike that. Because listen, they're reading literally hundreds or thousands of these. right? Each person on the team is reading hundreds or thousands of these. So they want to get this information as quickly as possible. I think that's why they like the standardization. That's why they like the black and white and the clean structures. I would say if you go less than 10 font, it's a bit scary. Okay, but there are some advanced games I can give you. You can do games with the spacing. So, for example, if you look at this CV right here, below location, city, and country, there's a lot of white space there between that and work experience. If you need more space, I would cut that font down, that white space down to like 3 or 4 font, and I can maintain my text at 10. I also, this is maybe a little tactical, a little early to talk about this, but do you see this first bullet here, official company name? Like, I would strongly advise not having a second line with all that white space. That responsibilities is taking up a whole line. Let's get rid of that. Let's either make it a one-line thing. Let's get rid of the word responsibilities, rephrase this, or keep expanding. So we make it full. And these are ways you can maximize your page. Email and telephone number, obvious. Can we indicate email and tel? No, you don't. You can. Everyone knows what those conventions are. Do we need to put a LinkedIn link? I would. I've been advising people to put their LinkedIn link right on the top, and not a hyperlink, like not a clickable thing. I would just copy paste the whole thing in there on the chance that they're not clicking on your PDF. So I would put my LinkedIn there for sure. So this is the basic standard. There's a bunch of templates out there, but all the templates, no matter what school you're looking at, you'll see some commonness, very simple, not terribly flashy resumes. And that's what you want to do. If you look at one difference between the UK schools and the US schools is the additional information. The nationality and languages. Obviously, languages are great if you have a couple. I would not put language if it's just English. I wouldn't do that. But nationality, I think that's more of a British convention. You don't need to put that kind of stuff if you're applying to a UK school, US school. I'm sorry. See, these resumes are the highlights, and all the biographic details you'll be able to describe in the application. So in the application to the school, it's going to be far more robust than the resume. You're going to have to give them a lot more than this. You're going to have to give them an annoying amount of information. What did you make? How many people should you report to? Who reported to you? Describe why you left this job, went to another one. That's all in the application portal, in the software application. So they're going to get more than this information. How much you made, what's your bonus, all that stuff's going to be asked in the application. So your nationality, that kind of stuff, I wouldn't worry about it. I think that's a lot of wasted space. I would tell more stories. I would add on to the interests, that kind of stuff. So that's my view. They're going to get this information anyway. So I would try to make sure that this resume is much more personal and storytelling than this looks right now. So let's do a little exercise here. Let me try to show you what accomplishments mean and what job description means too. And I'd rather have all of you do accomplishments more than description. Well, one more thing. Do you recommend volunteer activities go after the education? Yeah, I do. I do. Professional education then volunteer is probably the best layout, assuming your professional history is more impressive than your education. So whatever is your most impressive between professional, whatever's the more impressive between professional education, you start there. And volunteerism, activities, pastimes, they should be on this document, but they are towards the bottom, for sure. So let's do a look here. So hopefully you can see it. This is a sample resume from a former student of mine from a few years ago. I've made it anonymous. I've changed some words, but none of her words, none of her story. I just changed the organizations and stuff like that, just to give some anonymity here. And this is not obviously the whole page. This is a section, just the professional experience part of her thing. And so I just want you to look at it. This was what she submitted to me before I made edits. So I just wanted to give you a minute or two to look it over, and then I'll debrief after that. I don't know how you feel necessarily, but most people I've shown this to come across with the following feedback, that this is professional. The grammar is good. It's clean. It's very easy to read. The structure is nice, pleasant on the eyes. You can see the progression of jobs: executive coordinator, programs coordinator, programs manager. That's nice. The progression of trajectory is good. You definitely want to show that, by the way. Even if your title doesn't change, you want to show that your responsibilities change, for sure. So that's what most people would say about this. It's professional. It's obviously wasn't whipped together in 8 minutes. Obviously, some time was put into it. But here's why I'm having this chat with you. This resume is nowhere near what I would consider restaurant quality. It's not ready to serve. It's not nearly what it could be, in my view, especially given the task. The task is to get people to think they know you in one sheet of paper, to get people to think about, they understand your personality. I don't think this is a bad resume, but I don't think it's anything close to awesome. And certainly I don't think it does the full job. And so let me show you some suggested edits. These are edits that she made in red. We made these edits together. I'll make it a little bit bigger. It might be hard to read some of the little stuff. So the red stuff is after. While we're reading that, let me just take care of a couple of these questions here. Is it okay to underline and bold? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you want to highlight certain experiences, certainly. Italics, bold, underline gets a little bit crazy, but certainly I encourage you to differentiate the text. It's because it makes it easier to read also. Another question, how you doing? I know you. If you also work part-time in addition to your full-time role as a big part of your personal brand, do you recommend putting in the application portal or resume? Obviously, it'll be in the portal. It has to be in the portal. Everything must be divulged in the portal, but you should also put it in your resume. If it's part of your story, if it's part of this metamorphosis that you're going to make, you should put it in. So let me make this comment for everybody. Listen, you shouldn't put everything that you've ever done, every internship from college or you shouldn't put that in this resume. Only the best stuff makes it. Okay, only the best stuff makes it, and especially the stuff that is consistent with this metamorphosis you want to make from current state to future state. So you want to make sure you pick and choose your spots carefully. Obviously, you don't want to show any sort of big employment gaps. So if you had a job you didn't like for 3 years, unfortunately, it's going to be on your resume. But you can manage how much space you use to describe that job. Obviously, you want to be top heavy. The current job, because it's probably your current job most likely is your most impressive one, most likely the one with more responsibilities. So you want to focus on that. Obviously, if you just have obviously if you just took a new job, you might not have 8 bullets for that new job, but all else equal, you want to top load this more about 2021, more about 2020, less about 2017, less about 2016, right? All the other stuff, the portal will catch all of it. So don't worry about being exhaustive on this document. Do we need to include the section or unit? I'm a senior accountant in general ledger. This isn't, you're not testifying in court. Sure, if it helps the reader figure out what you do, that'd be good. But I'll say this: if you work for a big company which feeds a lot of MBA programs, you don't have to explain that kind of stuff. They know what that is. You're a consultant at McKinsey. They know what that is. They don't have to explain what that does or what that group does. You don't have to. Less description for the known entities. I'm a project manager at Facebook. Okay, we know what that is. If you work for a smaller company or a less known one, I do think you should describe that company, maybe in italics, one line. Don't give it too much because this resume is about you, not them. So just a one line descriptor. Hey, this is a regional paper company. And I work in the general ledger section, something like that. Are cover letters typically required? No. You will write essays. They're not cover letters. They're essays, and that's a whole other thing, whole other part of the application. And that's where you expand about your goals and your history, and all the essays are different. There's some general ones like, why do you want an MBA? What are your post-MBA goals? But across the board, the schools have different word requirements, word counts, and essays. That's a whole other thing, whole other deliverable. This is just the one-page resume or CV. Okay, so if you look at the red stuff, the red stuff, obviously, we started here. And the red were the edits. Okay, so can you, maybe, I know a lot of you are chatting, maybe one of you, if I were to ask you, hey, what does hire to fill a newly created position for the Mid-Atlantic region mean to you? That's only, what, that's like 10 words or so. What does that convey? Right. It conveys that the person is trusted. It's a newly created position. No one gets a newly created position if the boss and the bosses don't trust her, right? So we can convey a lot in our page. We need to really write strategically and tactically. Every word matters, and you can get a lot across. You also know that this person is not just trusted, but has a difficult job. No one has an easy job if it's a new position at the company. They are the template. They're creating the template for future people. Displayed a team first attitude by assuming responsibilities of 2 colleagues while they're on maternity leave. A lot of people would not think to put this on a resume. I'm telling you, this is a mandatory thing in the resume. This is a highlight. She had a job for 3 people by herself for several months. She should get credit for that, right? That's not a typical job posting on LinkedIn or monster.com. This is the kind of stuff that separates her, differentiates her. And the person reading it might think, oh, good, we like that kind of attitude here, right? There's all sorts of stuff here that we try to level up. We want to make sure every word is pumped up a little bit with a mandate to increase engagement, right? She was given orders. That was her order. And look, there's some other stuff here. Limited marketing and development budgets. Like, tell us about the struggle. Tell us why this is actually an achievement. We're about to talk about, contextualizing things. So it's not just numbers. I know you've heard this a lot. Hey, quantify everything. And I absolutely agree. You want to quantify stuff. You want to, because numbers help people try to understand. However, that's just, in my view, half the answer. It shouldn't just be numbers. It should also be numbers in context. Okay, like, you know, to like, let's put it this way: generated $23,000 to a lot of companies is a rounding error. They don't even know they have it. But to a small company like this one, it's a nonprofit, it's a big deal, right? You want to contextualize what these wins are. So the numbers themselves don't matter. Don't tell the reader that you've earned, that you won 5 clients. Well, what's the impact of those 5 clients at this company? Is it a big deal, small deal? Is that the normal expectation? 5? Is it 10 the normal? Like, you want to give a sense for the person that you are a superlative worker bee here, that your accomplishments are really, really something else and not just the norm, right? And it's especially true if they don't know your job. If they don't exactly know what your job is or know what your company does, think about that as an opportunity, because you get to tell them everything. Also, a lot of people would not think or even know to do like the bullets at the bottom here. Solely managing this department could be unsustainable. Most people would not write something like that, right? This is self-awareness. This is not a negative. It's not a loss. It starts off smelling like a loss, but no, presented proposal led to the hiring. See what I'm saying? This is like real self-awareness. It's problem solving, and it is also real confidence. Listen, I'm confident enough to present to you a real story of how I think, how I do stuff, and it only makes the person legitimately stronger. So you don't need to make sure everything's quote unquote bulletproof. The veneer of bulletproofness, it doesn't make you doesn't make the applicant very many friends, because genuinely the schools are looking for people to make themselves better and are self-aware of some faults and some flaws. And again, just some stuff here. In addition to completing daily tasks at the bottom, serves as a utility person for all departments. So guess what? That's the team player. That's the glue person. This can very easily, someone reading this can say, oh, you know what? Great. She can join any of our groups. Every group needs this person. The one jack of all trades, willing to do anything, no complaints. That's the kind of stuff that you want to put in. And of course, you're all different. This might not be you, but whatever's authentic to you, you want to put in. Here's another person. This is like the bottom of the page. This person, again, for anonymity's sake, I don't want to reveal who these people are. Yeah. But community engagement for this person, that should be there. Volunteerism really does matter for applications. If it's just about you and how you'll benefit from the degree, it's not good enough. They'd rather pick people who help others too. So this is a little admissions advice. If you don't have much community engagement, even within the context of your company, go get it. Go get it. Now's the time. Do it before you apply, for sure. And the longer track record you have, the better. It's never too late, but if obviously more is better. So get started. So like, this is a good dude. Who doesn't like this guy? He helps other people enhance resume writing skills, right? It helps people who are, underemployed or life's kind of tough for them. He helps them land jobs. Cool. Good dude. We need that here, right? And then also pastimes. Oh, okay. Well, that kind of reveals, okay, he's kind of a sports nut, Ironman, triathlete, okay, cool. So it's totally okay to have some of this stuff. On an industry resume, maybe, I don't know. Some companies are a bit buttoned up. They might not want to hear this kind of stuff. But for an MBA resume, which I think the audience is here is for, definitely, you need interest. Here's another one. So this is another person. This is, again, the section of the dude's resume where we list his education. For GPA, you should only list it on the resume or CV if it's good. Okay, you don't need to put it down if it's not good. Yeah, you don't need to. They're going to get you. They're going to get your GPA. You're gonna have to send them your transcripts. They'll get all of that, right? You should only put it on your resume if you want to highlight it. So 3.8's a very good GPA. He graduated with honors. Great. That's why it's there. Some activities are good. Activities I have a very high standard for. Okay, like activities in college, I don't know. They're not that interesting if it's been 6-10 years since college. I don't know, what you were doing at 19 years old. I mean, I don't know how relevant that might be for an MBA, but his stuff, the investment fund stuff, was relevant to his pivot. At the time he applied, he wasn't doing investment stuff. He wasn't, but he wanted to transition into that stuff post MBA. So let's focus on the fact that, he's always had investments on his mind. He's always had finance on his mind. So let's make sure the activities show. And of course, community service whenever possible. So the activities in college, very strict scrutiny. Okay, don't list everything. This is not, if it's not relevant to your pivot, don't put it down. Okay, but if it is relevant, sure. Is it okay to put on the CV my first job experience as a waitress? Sure. I mean, sure. Obviously this is dependent on your professional history, how long of a history you've had. It also depends on, how long ago this waitress job was. So no, you just tell them the truth. That's what it is. If you're not, if it's not relevant to your future, then you don't want to put much space towards it, but sure. It just depends on, how far removed are you from it. For example, if you just graduated and you're 22, 23 years old, and your first job right now is some sort of hostess or waitress or something like that, well, it has to be on your resume then. But if you're 27, 28, and you're now doing something else in a different capacity, then no. I graduated in an Asian country and received appreciation letters from the dean 3 times. Yeah, you could I would call it what it is. You don't have to list it as dean's list, but call it dean's appreciations, whatever. It will also be in your application, just so you know. So that portal is going to be exhaustive. So don't worry about comprehensiveness. Okay, so almost done here. Cover a lot of these things, but I want to make sure there's some more time for Q&A if you want. Be a storyteller, highlights only, right? The portal will be far more informational than the resume. Accomplishments are more important than descriptions. Your personality must shine. Clean formatting, don't overthink it. You can honestly go to any of the schools you're looking at, download a template and work off of that one. So long as it's black and white, so long as there's no picture, you're fine. Okay, it's really, let's call it what it is. Boring formatting is what they're looking for. Okay. General advice there. Specific advice, quantify. Okay, quantify. You want it numbers for sure. But as I said, it's not just numbers. You want numbers in context. Explain why those numbers are important. Explain why they're important for your company. Explain why they're important for your client. The number 7 doesn't mean anything else. Oh, normally that number is 2, but now it's 7. I more than tripled whatever this was. So, and listen, anytime you can throw in this kind of stuff genuinely and honestly, that you champion others, that you're an awesome teammate, that's huge. Obviously, you can't lie. Lying is grounds for dismissal. And also, listen, they're going to ask for recommendations. So they're going to ask for work recommendations. It's not academic recommendations. They're going to ask for a professional recommendation. So if this doesn't exactly hold up, it's a problem. So anytime you've helped someone else when you didn't have to, mentored, that's awesome. And volunteer interests, of course, we just looked at that. Some practical tactics. You want to differentiate from job postings. So one thing I do at the end of the before it's all ready and ready to submit, I look up the person that I'm working with, and I look up that person's job and that company. And obviously, there's likely been some history of this company's hiring other people in this position recently, or even currently, if it's a big company. How many product managers does Apple have? How many tens of thousands? So it's not hard to find job descriptions. Then I look at the resume that we've created. If that resume or CV is not really much value add from the job posting, it's a bad job. We've done a bad job. Okay. We want to make sure as little of that job posting is in the resume as possible. Okay. Understood. There has to be at least like a bullet of description. This is what I do. We get that, but not much. More about the highlights. What are the accomplishments? What were your wins here at this post? Okay. So I strongly advise you, hey, Google your job, or Google people who have your job, and see what the posting might look like. And if your resume looks like that, it's like a list of develop, manage, coordinate. Oh my God, get to work, change your resume. Because how are you differentiating? What's the value add of reading this document if it's just like something anyone can Google? Okay. Another thing I do at the end is I read bottom up, and I read right to left. My military students have told me, and their reasons are far more life-changing and dangerous than mine, but you will catch more errors and you'll catch more typos if you go against the grain. So obviously, in English, you read top, bottom, left, right. If you go right, left, bottom, up, you're more likely to catch commas out of place, spacing issues, that kind of stuff. And yeah, typos and that kind of stuff, that's not acceptable. Not in this age. Just in general, not with the software applications we have, it's not acceptable. So let's just make sure we catch everything we can. So before we hit submit for anything, the resume, the essays, I do a read backwards, and you'll be surprised. You catch stuff. I also was mentioning this. I alluded to this. You want some recommender alignment. You want to coach up the recommenders. This is one of our admissions things that we advise. Your recommenders should know exactly what you're telling in the resume. They should know your essays too, so then they can corroborate. And it could be a nice cohesive package, right? So if you're saying that you're a champion for others, it'd be nice if your recommender could verify that in his or her recommendation, right? So it's good if it's a team effort and everyone's on the same page. And that's a management issue. If they're not on the same page, it's a crappy application and you're the boss, so it's your fault, right? So you want to manage the whole thing. And that leads me to the holistic view. You want to make sure the resume and the recommendation and the essays are all telling the same general story. They don't have to repeat themselves. They don't have to repeat the same words. I'm not telling you that, but they all have to be consistently in the same direction. They have to be aligned. If the trajectory of the resume is one thing and the short-term goals, the goals of the person is somewhere else, and the recommender is telling a different story. Like the recommender is saying, oh, she's great at product management, she should continue doing that. She's going to continue being awesome in this field. And your essay is like, you can't wait to transition out of that business. Oh my God, this is an easy rejection because someone's lying or someone doesn't know. It's terrible. Those are terrible jobs. So you want to make sure this whole thing is all going the same direction. And I'll end with this. You want to know that these resumes, the reason why you want the MBA resume to be chock full of little morsels, little nuggets of interest, is because for most universities, if you are invited to interview, this will be the first thing they'll ask you about. Walk me through your resume is the most common question, first question at every MBA program. It's an obvious question. Walk me through your resume. And if there are little, I like to call them Easter eggs, which is little pieces of candy and little Easter eggs throughout the resume, they're great conversation points. And as soon as the interview becomes a conversation, you've won, right? Then it's no longer an interrogation. It's just a conversation. And then, you'll relax and you'll do well, and the interview will go really well. So you want to make sure there's places for them to talk. Oh, you did the Santa Anita Marathon. So did I. Oh, whatever. You want to give them some things to talk about. So less general about the better, more specific with interest. And lastly, I want to thank you for your time today and your chat. It helped out. A couple of quick things. Prep Advisor and SherpaPrep have been friends for a while. We're always offering a discount to any Prep Advisor people. sherpaprep.com/prepadvisor for a genuine discount off discounted services already. Our mission is real. We believe in access. So you can claim that code right there. If you want to reach me, if you have any questions, my email is nafeez@sherpaprep.com. My LinkedIn is there. And you can also follow us on Instagram if you're, interested in that kind of stuff, and in MBA stuff, test prep stuff. We try to keep that thing updated with developments, especially for it caters to an MBA crowd. Different announcements for schools, test procedures. We try to keep people updated, and we try to keep it fun too. It's a pretty snarky account. And with that said, I'm done with my presentation. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. We've heard a lot of interesting things, and thank you for answering live to many of the questions.
Cool.
We still have a couple of questions in the Q&A box. Maybe let's start with the one about quantifying your experience. There is this person who has given us here a sentence asking you how to quantify this.
Sure.
The sentence is: assisted other teams by typing warrants and covering front desk to assist public and resolve their requests.
Cool. So listen, like you want to, the way you can answer these questions is like, show this to someone who doesn't know your job that well. So I don't know what this job is. And that's the perfect thing. Like, I don't know, treat me as like an admissions person. I don't know what this job is. What's a warrant? Why do I care about it? What's the normal number of warrants? Why were you better than other people? So I would say, the way you can, like, not everything can be quantifiable. I'll start there. But the things that can be quantifiable are, efficiencies, effectiveness, descriptions, but not every bullet has to be quantified. Let me just leave it there.
Okay, we have another question. It's from a person who is probably not from the USA. He says that they don't have this magna cum laude type of honoring titles. But still, he has graduated with a Medal of Excellence alumni. So different type of title.
This is easy. This is easy. Everyone understands 4.0. No problem. Put down 4.0 out of 4.0. Describe the Medal of Excellent alumni. Describe that. Just say Medal of Excellent alumni. Put a descriptor. How many people get that? How selected that is. Don't make up the Latin phrases if they don't count towards you. It's fine. Everyone understands 4.0 out of 4.0. It's got to be awesome. Just do the description of how many people get that award at your school. That's fine. No, don't make up the Latin honors if they don't exist.
Great, thank you. I have a question of my own now, because you gave us a lot of advices how to improve our CV, but what's the biggest mistake that we can do? If I present my CV and maybe I have written something. What is this thing that will immediately present me in a bad light?
Oh, well, I think, I'm not sure if anyone can tell, well, the only way anyone can present themselves in a bad light is if there's no attention to detail, bad structure, spacing, grammar issues. That's the only way you can make it a bad light. Like, okay, this person didn't even take the time to write this well when there's all these free resources for grammar. Like that's the only way you can get a bad light. Because no one's predisposed to disliking someone. Naturally, people don't want to dislike anybody. So, they're predisposed to like, okay, let me try to figure out this person. I would say mistakes people make, assuming the formatting is fine and the grammar is fine, the mistakes people make are being generic by showing their job as what they do, but not what they've done. It's like, well, I don't know. Like, I know what a consultant at Deloitte does. I know what they do, but I don't know why you're any more special than the other 17 I'm reading. Like, you must be special. You're a human being. There must be something you've done that's special. Tell me those things. I think people's mistakes are generally not differentiating and telling the reader their stories and not fully understanding. I like to say this, like, move the chessboard around. Be the other player for a second. What do you think they're reading? How many people from Apple and Deloitte and whatever job you have, how many people do you think that they see? They're seeing a lot of them. So what do you think they're looking for? They're probably looking for, oh, well, in a sea of the same, this person is self-aware. This person's told me actually what this job means. Because honestly, I think generally speaking, people want to like the person, but I also say this, and this might be just me, most people are not that interested in anyone else's job. Like, I don't really care what what anyone else's specific third or fourth bullet is at their 2 jobs ago. Like, what the heck? I bet your mom doesn't even care about that. So what you want to do is make sure you tell stories instead of the coordinate this, but like the description really sticks. So I think those are just lost opportunities not to tell stories.
Thank you. This is a great advice. And I suggest we finish here because we are now out of time. Great. But for everyone who has more questions, they can contact you. We will send to anyone who attended or registered for this webinar a follow-up email with your contacts so they can check your services. And if they have any questions, they can ask you directly.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you once again for giving us this interesting presentation. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.